Greetings. Today I'm doing my third video in a series on tarot reading. I've developing this little series, which is meant to help people that are both new to tarot and seasoned tarot readers as well. I'm offering some of the insights that I have about tarot because I've gotten so much information from other readers here on YouTube that I've just loved it. I've loved comparing um, experiences, so I thought maybe some of you might be interested in what I have to say. I'm going to add it to the playlist so that um, I have them all. I'm going to keep them all together in one place. If I don't think you have to read starting, if you have not watched the videos yet, you don't necessarily have to start with one and go in order, but it might be easier to follow me at least in the first couple if you look at them in order. Okay. The first two videos we have talked about the tarot story and why it's so important of developing your tarot skills, your tarot reading skills enough to be able to tell one story in your reading, no matter what kind of a spread you're using. I'm using the Rider-Waite. I'm using a Rider-Waite deck, and I'm using a modified Celtic Cross spread of my own modification. This is just the one I use. It's nothing unique about it. Other people might do similar, but it's important. We talked a little bit about why it's important to have the spread work for you. If it doesn't work the way you see it, modify it, and that's what most people do from that original Celtic Cross spread in the booklet. I showed these folders that I keep. I keep one of these in my office for every spread that I do, because some spreads I do often and some spreads I do not very often at all, to remind me how I have modified, or how some of them are spreads that I have created myself. This was a modified spread, which reminds me I use what cards represent what information for me, location of the cards. Okay, I have modified it for my own use, and if you want to see what that is, you can. I won't go through it again. It's on the second. I don't know if it's on the first or second video, but I did explain that. I think probably the first one. Explain what I have, how I have indicated the meanings of the cards for me. Okay, this is really important. Whatever spread you use and whatever um, meaning you assign to each position in that spread, please keep that in mind, because it's really going to help you determine information that is being shown to you in the reading. Okay, um, and that's one of the things I want to talk to you a bit today. Once we get the spread, we get the cards that are in the spread. We all come to the same problem as a tarot reader. We look at the cards and we have to determine what the card means. And we have to determine what the card means now. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. I challenge you, get any kind of a deck out of if you have a Rider-Waite based deck in your home, get out the little white book, pick some cards, pick a card, look up the meaning, write down what the meaning is, what they say the meaning is in the book, and then go on YouTube and or go on the internet and look up, Google that card, like Google the Four of Pentacles or whatever, and see what other readers, a lot of places will give you meanings, right? See what other readers say that card means to them. Look on YouTube, look at people doing readings on YouTube, look at what they say the Four of Pentacles means. You're going to find a lot of meanings, so many different more meanings than you thought, more that's in that book. I've had my tarot cards since 1970. I think I determined 1971 or two. And I still hear people interpreting cards, the same Rider-Waite based deck that I have, in different ways. We learn something new all the time. And it's not that one of us is right and the other is wrong. It depends on a lot of things to determine the meaning, which causes a problem, doesn't it? It causes a problem for people who are new to tarot, particularly, to ever get enough confidence to have the confidence to say what that card probably stands for in this reading. If there's so many meanings, how do you know which meaning to use? Well, that's what I wanted to do today. I want to try to give you some clues to that because I was thinking about that. Now, the other thing that's confusing before I get into that is some people on, especially here, let's look at just the people in the tarot community here on YouTube, which it's a wonderful community. Oh, there's so many people that have so much knowledge about tarot. It's really wonderful. But some people describe themselves as psychic readers. I believe it is Arwen. You know, bless her, she's so talented. She has so much knowledge and has so much experience in tarot. And she says that everybody is psychic. She thinks everybody's psychic, and they just maybe not know it. They're not psychic enough to know they're psychic. Um, but she thinks everyone is psychic, so she describes herself, I believe, as a psychic reader. Okay, well, I think I've had psychic experiences, but I've really never used the word psychic to describe myself as a reader. It's not that I don't think I am, I just have never really used that term. A lot of people describe themselves as intuitive readers, which, you know, in the beginning, I used to think, oh my, are they calling themselves intuitive readers because they really don't know what the cards mean and they're just going to make something up in their head? That was cynical me saying that, but not very nice of me saying that. But no, that's not what they mean at all. What they mean is there's a lot more to it than just what's in the book that you have to know, and they have developed a skill set um, that they can trust their intuition to know what the card is to mean, what the meaning of the card is. Okay. Now I can really identify with that because as an empath, um, being an empath really, I think, is one of the things that helps me read with the confidence that I have. And to explain that, I want to make sure that you're clear of what I mean by being an empath. I do have a video early in on my channel where I have it's all about being an empath. It's about the traits of an empath. So you might want to look at that if you have a question about it. But it is not about the Querens sitting down across from me and me just being so in touch with their feely feels that I know exactly what the cards are. It's really not that at all. I describe myself, some people might be like that as an empath, but for me, it is one of the ways it manifests for me is I describe myself as having really good body language. I mean, really good at reading body language. That I know when I meet somebody or I see somebody I'm face to face with, I can tell usually if they are lying or not, if they like me or not, if they're angry, if they're scared, if they're hiding something, if they're trying to fool somebody. It's a burden. It sounds wonderful. It's not. It's a burden. When I try to deal with people, it's a burden because it's intrusive. It's intrusive. That makes people uncomfortable because I react then to what I know rather than reacting to what they want me to see. I'm reacting to something they're trying to hide from people, their private selves, and I'm seeing that and reacting to it. And that's very threatening. That's intrusive to people and it's threatening. So a lot of empaths have trouble getting along with people. Well, this is not about that. This is about tarot. But those same traits that help me to read people help me to read cards. Okay, I think. I think. I think that's what I'm doing. I spent quite a few days in the last couple of weeks trying to think about what I want to say here in this exercise that might help you. If you're not an empath, you can still use these kind of tricks, not tricks, but um, steps, exercises, okay? That I think I do quickly when I'm looking at the cards, I think I do automatically. And I'm trying to break it down and say, maybe this is what I see. So that's what I want to show you today, okay? Now, because I have tried to make this video so many times and because I cannot edit on this, with using this 2-cam system, when it goes right on my hard drive, I don't have the ability to edit. I don't know why I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. But in the meantime, I cannot afford to leave something out that I wanted to say or repeat myself. So I have some notes and I'm going to be referring to my notes to make sure I tell you everything that I wanted to tell you. So first thing I'm going to do is switch the camera over so that you can see the cards that I've laid out. And then I'm going to look at my notes and I'm going to try to go through some of the points that I wanted to make today. I hope that this is not boring. Again, if it's boring, You might want to switch this off now if you're not interested in tarot and come back another time. Okay, so I'm going to move to my camera. Here we go. And now you can see my table. And I have taken the liberty to just deal out a typical, this card would have been here, a typical Celtic cross spread. Okay. This is not a reading. It's an exercise, so it's not that important. But we're going to pretend it's a reading. We're going to pretend it's a reading for you, the querent. You, not the specific you, the general you. Because I want to say, when I deal my cards, I may turn them all. Then I'm going to turn them all over. Cards. I deal them face down, but because I don't want it ever to influence until I get them all out. Not that it can change the cards, but I just am superstitious that way. And then once they're dealt, I turn them all over because I want to see them. I'm not wait till we get here and then I'll flip the card over. Oh, da-da. No, I don't do that. Because this is an important part of the process for me. And if you've seen my other videos, anything about tarot, you will know. Or if I've done a reading for you, you will know that I start out my readings by taking a real quick pass through all of the cards. This could be, this could be, this could be. Oh, maybe this is, oh, look at that. That might be this. Until I get here, because that's my way of just thinking through real quick, getting an overview. Okay, so that's probably where that empathic reading the body language of the cards comes through, reading all those little signs real fast, because then I'm ready to begin. But if you can't do it that way, let's look at it this way, and let's say, I'm not able to do that, so I'm going to slow it down, and I'm going to look generally at what I see in front of me. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is move this card off of the card 2, off of 1. I'm going to put it here. That's to remind me that it was here. I remember it was here. Okay, so this number 1 card is going to tell me what are we talking about here? This is the current state, right? The current state, the current energy around the querent right now, you the querent, what's going on in your life right now in the present. Okay, well, right away, looking through this, I see this card, the Lovers, and I'm saying, okay, what is this, the Lovers? Are we going to talk about, the Lovers? Every card, just like every card, can mean different things. Are we talking about a romantic encounter? Are we talking about you're finally going to find love at the lunch table? Or are we talking about, a relationship that already exists? Are we talking about a relationship that's going to stay intact, a relationship that's going to fall apart? Is this a romantic relationship, or is this about just a general balance card? Need to balance, or need to make a choice. It could be, let's say, pretending we haven't looked at any of these yet. Okay, so now that I look, I'm right away going to say that this has to do with something. There's going to be some kind of a choice that's needing to be made. This is what I'm saying. There's kind of we're needing to get back into balance, and I think we're off a little bit. The querent and whoever, somebody in a relationship, how the relationship's gone off a little bit, out of balance, we're teetering a little bit. Maybe we're at a crossroads where we need to maybe take stock of what's happening and where we want to go from here. Might be a little rocky. Okay, now why do I say that? What gave me the clues that I am saying that? That's a lot to say on one card. Well, not that I'm going to not change my mind. I could change my mind as I go on. But I'm looking right now, first of all, what do I see? I'm seeing balance. And, we talk about, is there a balancing issue? Right away, the card that is crossing this first card is the Four of Pentacles. And the picture, the illustration of the Four of Pentacles, he has his feet, one on each of 2 coins, a coin in his lap, which he's holding both above and below. And then he's balancing the 4th card on his head. So there's that balance coming in again, right? We see, here we go, if we go up into this row, we see the High Priestess is sitting between the darkness and the light, in between the pillars, the black and white pillars. She has a cross. She's wearing a cross, which represents male-female, balance between the male-female, balance between the male and the female. We can look here to the Magician. The Magician is all about balancing. He has one hand to the sky, one hand to the earth. He's got all the elements there. He's got the infinity encircling him in order for things to keep going in on and on and on. They have to be out of balance. As soon as things get off of balance, it stops. Like here, we even go back to the wheel. That has to do with balance. The wheel will not turn if there's not balance. And the idea of balancing the wheel of fortune is you have highs, you have lows, you have ups, you have downs. It's all balancing of opposites. And again, off to the final card in the series, the Two of Cups. Again, is balancing between male and female, between union of two people coming together. Okay, coming together in ultimately harmony, right? So we have so much about balance, getting back in balance. We're having a problem, there's something, an issue. Okay, so we look at those kind of things first in our overall picture, and then we say there's other clues that we can look at. Okay, we're still not into the reading, we're still looking at clues. Okay, so let's look now at positions, because some cards really make a difference where it is. Of course, they all do, right? Makes a difference where in this, we can do the same 10 cards, we can shovel these same 10 cards, deal them out again, and get a completely different reading. We can pick them up, shuffle them again, deal them out again, and get a completely different reading. Because remember, the card is read depending on the position of where the card is. It can really alter the meaning of the card. Okay? To give you a really obvious example, let's look at something like the Seven of Swords. Because the Seven of Swords means lots of different things, right? It can mean a lot of different things. It's mostly about deception, but sometimes it's about you being deceived, or you deceiving yourself about something, about where, or you deceiving someone else. There's a lot of things like that. But here we have it in the present. Remember, this is the present. So here we see the Seven of Swords in the present, and we see some kind of an issue going on here. We can see that right away. Look at all this. There's something really going on here. And this person seems to have a desire to escape rather than dealing whatever's going on here. Okay? He just can't deal. He's picked up his swords and he's tiptoeing away from wherever it was he came. Okay? He just doesn't want to deal with it. Okay? If this card were moved and shuffled and dealt out again and appeared in this position, which is in a future position, or position over here, let's say, this card tells me that in order for you to get here, in order for you, the querent, to get from this, whatever's going on here, through to this near future, which is going to open the gateway to this final outcome, you're going to probably have to use some kind of trickery. You're going to probably have to deceive somebody. You're going to probably have to do a little bit of plotting to get your goal. It's not going to come easy. You might have to, use some of the skills you have to manipulate things to go your way. You see, that's a completely different meaning than we had probably here. Okay? Let's take another one that might be obvious as well. Here we have the Knight of Wands. In this position, it's in position 8, which is reflective in my spread, my adaptation, my modified version of the Celtic Cross spread. This card represents how other people see you, the querent. How do people see you? Oh, well, maybe they think pretty much you act before you're ready. Maybe you act first and then think later. You're just ready to charge off and do it in a big way. Okay? But what happens if this card or in position 6? Okay? What about that? What if that card moved there? If the card moved there, because this is something that might affect the outcome, this very likely might be a person. It might represent a person, a particular person. Who do you know? Somebody that you know that may have something to do with this. Is there some person who, we might say, who's quite charismatic, who might take, monopolizes a lot of your time and your passion, that maybe we want to say, you might want to slow it down a little bit and make sure they're sincere before you get too carried away, right? That's a completely different reading than when it is here. Okay, they're kind of that's sort of making things simplistic, but you see how it can change depending on where the cards are. So that's pretty obvious. So of course, then my number one tip would then be look at the position. What position is the card? If this in position 2, it is a problem. There is some kind of an issue you have to deal with, something that is blocking, keeping you from moving on. Okay, so this is a problem. This is somebody just happy to have a lot of money. He's happy to have a lot of money, but he's happy to have a lot of money, but that's caused him some problems. There's been some problems, right? Having that money has caused him some problems. He's holding on to just so tight. Okay. So anyway, that's what we mean by the position. Okay. Now another thing we want to look at, another tip 2. Remember, this is the same story. We said in the last video it's the same story. But we want to look at, and all the cards, so all the cards are going to relate back to here. But, there are no walls on the tarot spread, and the tarot spread. So any cards that are like touching have to really kind of have a stronger effect. Like this card is right beside this card. This past card is here. So the past card, this Wheel of Fortune, has more effect on how I am right now than how maybe we're going to be over here. Okay? It's really affecting this right now, the present, than it affects the future, unless we do not get this conflict saved. Okay? If we look at the Wheel of Fortune, we know that, the Wheel of Fortune tells us that there's always ups and downs in life. And if you only had the good times, you wouldn't appreciate the bad times, would you? So the bad times are what gives you the contrast to say you can appreciate the good. So it's telling us, yes, something might have happened in the past that sort of shook you up. And maybe you're somebody who really likes things to just be going along smoothly, and you forget that nothing can stay the same. Nothing can stay the same, right? But just because there's some lows doesn't mean you're going to stay low. You're going to come high again. You're going to have ups after your downs. You're going to have downs after your ups in the same instance, okay? Okay, so when we look at the Wheel of Fortune and how it affects to the Lovers, we think that probably there is some kind of a choice, but we need to say, is this a big deal or is it not a big deal? What is this issue that has happened to change? Is it made a big deal or not a big deal? Remember, in the Lovers card, we have the mountain in between the two figures, the male and female figures, which we say, is that a mountain or is that a molehill? Is that an obstacle that needs to be crossed, or is it a barrier that's going to split you apart? Okay. In this case, we want to look to see, is this a big change or a little change? Okay. So that's something that's going to come up in a minute. Also, touching. Remember when I took the Four of Pentacles off of here, I put it here and I said, this is going to be important that I put it here because this reminds us that it is touching this card, this card, this card, and I could just as easy put it here. It touches this card. Okay. So here we have this figure holding so tightly onto the coins, holding so tightly onto things. What is the cause of the stagnation? What is the cause of not being able to move along and resolve, to see the balance that we can see coming at the end? How are we going to get everything back on track? Well, we have this. We've got to deal with. Okay. So that's what we're going to deal with. But then I see another thing also touching the Pentacle card, are all of these cards. And look at what they all are. They are all swords. They're all swords. The Five of the Swords, I'm looking at him. He's looking over his shoulder. He's looking he's not looking where he's going. He's not looking down here. He's looking back over his shoulder, where he's come from. Sneaking away. What is he doing? I'm not sure. Five of Swords. I'm sorry, that was the Seven of Swords. The Five of Swords. Also, some kind of conflict is in there. Something bad has been there. And has there been a break in the relationship? Yeah, we think there has been. We think there has been. Okay. He's still looking behind at that broken, at the relationship that he's lost. He's not looking forward. He's had this struggle, but he's not going, okay, now we got to move on from the struggle. He's still not ready to move on, is he? He's not looking forward. He's looking behind at what he's lost. And here, obviously, we have the Eight of Swords. Not looking at all. Refusal to look at all completely with the blindfold. So that is the future. So if we see this, oh my, what's happening here? What is happening a lot of here? I see three cards touching this stagnation, touching this card. This miserly, this hold on, this refusal to let go card, moving ahead card. This looks like a lot of head games to me. It's a lot of head games. A lot of things in swords. Isn't that what swords are? How do you do with your thinking? Too much thinking, too much worrying about what it was, too much worrying about the change. Oh my, too much worrying about, oh, what has happened in the past. Oh, I'm afraid to go on. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid to go further. You know, all of these things. Are you just spinning your wheels, spinning your wheels, spinning your wheels? Okay. Now, what else do I see when I'm looking at this reading? Is here we're talking about all these swords, and here's the pentacle causing the wheels to spin and spin and spin. And what kind of cards are they? They are all from the minor arcana. Okay, they're all minor arcana cards. Yeah, this is the Querent card. This is the past. Now you can say, well, this is not a minor arcana card. No, it is not. But notice that this is the Wheel of Fortune. It's not the Tower card. You know, things haven't been destroyed forever. There's just been some change. And it's not necessarily been a bad change. It's just been the change that somehow threw this querent into this spin. Okay? But here we go, and look as we're coming along here, right? We're going to look ahead. If we can get past this little piddly stuff and move on, what will happen? Okay? This is the central issue that we're dealing with, and it's just like a stuck in the mud issue. Okay? Wanting to hold on to something you have too tightly because you're afraid of losing it is actually throwing you off of balance. It's making it impossible to make a decision or to maintain that balance in this relationship. Okay? But remember, nothing ever stays the same. This is what I would say to the querent. Nothing ever stays the same. We learned that lesson. We're going to learn this again. This Wheel of Fortune, this is not the last time we're going to say this. Nothing ever stays exactly as it was, but in order for anything to grow, it is change. Growth is change, right? Okay. So here we're spinning, 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 and we want to move beyond. Why do we want to move beyond? What is so big deal about these cards out here? Okay. Because if we didn't have these cards, we could stay here forever, forever, forever. This is what's going to take us beyond. This is going to take us beyond when we get up here. Okay. We don't just exist in a vacuum. And that's what these cards remind us of. And this is why I like this adaptation that I have done here, because, you know, this card representing, of course, using what you have, using your intuition. This card is using what other people think of you. This is using, you know, what you're manifesting through your dreams or your wishes. Okay. These are really important, strong cards. This is how we're going to get to here. Okay, so this information we have to know. And trust me, if we didn't know this, we kept this covered up, we could be spinning here all day. We can see that, right? We're just never going to go beyond. We're not going to take off that blindfold and move ahead. Okay, now this card 9 is a really, really important card. And I like to look at this right away because this is something in my in my modification of the Celtic Cross. I'm not sure, it might still be in the original one. I don't want to take credit for it, but it's just important. I look at it with great importance in mind because it's what the querent really hopes will happen. You know, this is what he really, and remember we say, you know, be careful what you wish for because you're going to get it. This is really the truth in that, okay? And here we see this is really a good, strong card to be in that position because this is a card reminding the querent of all of that is available for him to use, both in this realm and the spiritual realm, right? And all, you know, all using all of the elements, using all of the of the knowledge, all of the tricks, all of the knowledge he has. Okay. And then, of course, always looking towards this card at the end, because if you're going to see what the tone the reading is going to get you got to look at the end. And I think that's kind of funny. I always love that because that's something I do anyway. If I'm reading if I pick up a magazine, I go to see if I want to buy it or when I go to read it. I often will go to the very back of the magazine and go from the back to the front, and I just sort of glance through it that way before I would sit down and read it from the front to the back. I think that sort of gives me a clue how long to spend on each part if I want to make the goodness of the magazine last, or I'm not sure why I do it, but I like to see that. It's not really like reading the end of the book first. It's just giving you a clue. Because even though I can look ahead and see this Two of Cups here and I think, oh, this is a good harmony card, it's not really till I go through this and really read this and really examine the relationship of these cards till I really get to the point where I'm going to be able to know truly what the outcome is likely to be. Right? Okay, let me get a drink here. Excuse me. Okay. Always looking back to this wheel. When you see the Wheel of Fortune in the past, it is a good reminder that you're not paying attention to what is important and what is not important in my readings, because it's like anybody could see this. These are kind of minor deals, minor thinking, and why is it? Remember I said this card in the past is there for a reason, and maybe the reminder needs to be. It seems like there's such horrible. These really seem like dire cards. Like, am I ever going to get? Nothing's going to solve our problems here. Nothing's going to solve my thing. But as soon as we start looking back and go, this is the way things happen, then we're able to move forward here. This is really common for this to happen. And remember, when we come through the change, it could be better than it ever was. We can see how that can be. Okay? It's often, this is usually, as a matter of fact, the Wheel of Fortune is often considered to be a blessing in disguise. It looks like, but for a lot of people, change is scary. A lot of people are scared of change. Okay? This is all about choice, too. We see choices everywhere. We see a choice in the Four of Pentacles. In the Four of Pentacles, is he just being resistant? He's holding on so tightly, number one, to what he has, that not only can he not, he's not sharing what he has, it's becoming too important perhaps than it should be, but also he can't receive, when his hands are full of these things, he can't receive anything else. His feet are occupied, his hands and arms are occupied, even his hat is occupied, so he doesn't even have any room to bring anything new into it. So he's causing himself more issues, more problems that way. The Five of Swords, you may have won this battle, but did you really win? Because if you lost relationships, are you making yourself vulnerable to that happening again? By keeping up this, still spinning, refusing to go forward with a new decision or go forward with into the new way things are going to be. Okay. Is there too much control? Do you have too much control? Are you attempting to control too many things? Are you attempting to control or trick, in order to keep what you have? You're not being honest in a relationship, okay? Do you feel trapped? What makes you trapped? Is it your own thoughts that make you trapped? You could just as easily take off that blindfold and find your way out of that, right? You need to look from a different angle. You're still stuck in that. You're looking at it from the same old thing, spinning your wheels. Okay, and that's where this card becomes really important, because this High Priestess talks about, this is the position of power here in this reading for this querent, because this card is telling the querent to listen and trust their voice, intuition, rather than trying to control through trickery, deceiving, holding on too tight, struggling, fighting for what you want, using your intuition, using your inner voice, listening to um, the larger picture, seeing the larger picture, listening to your intuition rather than getting your head stuck in all these head games, which are causing so many problems. Okay. Um, the knight here, the knight of wands. Um, are other people seeing you as somebody who just charges in and goes with their vision and wants to make things happen their way? Is it my way or the highway? Is that the kind of person you are? Are you acting first and thinking later? You need to have a different kind of a view. This is reminding you need a different kind of a view. This is not the view that you want, right? This is looking backwards. These are all looking backwards. This is staying in the same place. This is refusing to look at all. This is telling you, you know, reminding you that there's other ways besides the ways you have tried. Remember, we've changed. Something has changed here. Okay. Um, is the card acting you? Is this card, again, is touching this card? So is it telling you that you want to be ready to react quickly? You want to be able to go. You want to trust your intuition when it's time to act, right? You want to trust this rather than going back to the old way of thinking. Trust this new way of thinking, this new wisdom that you've acquired, what you know now, what from these lessons that you've learned in the past. Okay. The magician. The magician tells us that you have the creative power and the energy to create a whole new life. This is a whole new life cycle. This was the old life cycle. We're going to move on. We're creating a whole new life cycle. There's something whole new waiting. What finishes, a new one starts. Okay. In this card, we see, and of course, ultimately, we get to the Two of Cups. Okay. Now, interesting in this spread for me that we're back here where we have the Lovers, which is the minor arcana, major arcana, here among these minor arcana cards. And here, as the ultimate outcome, we have sort of a similar card, but a weaker card, you might say, because this is a weaker card, which is the Two of Cups, which is the minor arcana. So it's a little weaker energy than Lovers, which is like the Lovers is two complete people coming together as one. This is, this is the beginning of a new relationship, usually, right? The Two of Cups. It's it's something new. It's a start. Okay. It's a start, a harmonious start. So isn't that telling when we came out of this situation, this change that creates all this stuff and all this fear and fear of moving on, that once we got past this and started trusting in our own intuition and in using the tools and the knowledge that we were given, that we're ready to start this new. The Aquarian is now ready to start this new relationship, a new definition of the relationship, probably. More nurturing, more harmonious, balancing, start again. And isn't that what happens? It's the end of one cycle, the beginning of the next. And boy, that's really what happens, isn't it, in a relationship? If you're in a marriage or any kind of romantic even relationship, that happens all the time. But also it happens a lot in simply any kind of an intimate relationship, like, or even as a close partnership relationship, that can be the same. Let me go back and see my face, see if I'm still here. Oh, I hope that made sense. Again, this is really not meant to be a reading. It was meant as an exercise. Open your eyes and look. The clues are in front of you in the imagery, not just the imagery, but how the cards. You could even use this system, the same system, with any kind of other cards. I think it would work as long as you bear in mind, number one, what the position of the card is. So what is that? What makes more sense in that position, and how they relate to the cards around it, how they're looking, you know, um, how they. I keep looking down at my cards to see what I'm talking about. How they, how do they relate? How do the cards on either side of them, the cards that touch them, or the cards that are just merely beside them? It gives you a lot of information. Okay. Major arcana, minor arcana, action. Where are they looking? What, you know, what are they? Oh, you have a lot of cups in your spread. You have a lot of, then, you know, it's going to be this. Do you have a lot of pentacles? Do you have a lot of, here we had a lot of in this part, the central part, the first cards 1 to 6, which represent the issue here. We had all of those swords. So we knew it had to have some kind of something to do with, oh, who says it? I think Jackie, I think, says stinking thinking. Is she the one that always says stinking thinking? She used to say, you're using stinking thinking. This is very typical. This is a good description for what was happening here. I don't want this to be long. I don't know how long it has been because I've had to do it a couple times. So if I could find a way to edit this kind of a video, I would be happy because I do. I'm able to edit my other ones when I interrupt it. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it helps. Please leave comments. I appreciate the people that have been leaving comments. And I'm trying not to get too talky, too wordy, but I just want to say that, you know, any kind of practice is good. I mean, if this helps you, or if this helps, gives you an idea for a better kind of practice, then I think that's wonderful for you. Wonderful for everybody. So let me know if anything I said has helped you or not. And I really want to thank you for sticking with me and watching. Okay. So again, thank you for coming to my channel. I'm the Good Wife, Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.